How's it going, everyone? Data here, and welcome to the wrap-up episode of our Seattle Kraken franchise mode here on NHL 22, episode number 41, as we have completed our 10-year mission with the Kraken. Upon their entry into the NHL, we took over. We said, hold on, the expansion draft was not done right. Let us take our own spin on it. Let's do our own expansion draft, build the team ourselves, and we went on to capture 5 Stanley Cups in 10 years. 5 in our last 7 as well, as in the last episode, the 4.5-hour live stream, if you caught it, the entirety of 2030-31 was a great season, new franchise record and close to NHL records, 66-win season. In the playoffs, we beat the Avalanche in 5, Oilers in 6, Blues in a 7-game roller coaster, and then took down the Lightning in 5 to capture our 5th Stanley Cup in 2031. In this episode today, we will be simulating from years 11, 2031-32, to year 25, that's somewhere in the 2040s. What we're going to be doing throughout this episode is I'm going to show you the beginning, the lineup. I can't show you right now in the offseason. I'll show you the lineup to begin the season, noting any changes that went on during the offseason. If you've seen my career simulations, it's very similar. Then we jump to the team stats screen. We'll see what our record was during the season, as I'll look at this one right here. A reminder that we went 66, 12, and 4. I'll show you the team records where we finished in the NHL. I'll then show you the player stats, which, of course, Nathan MacKinnon leading the way once again last season with 97 points at 35 years of age. I will then show you the playoff tree if there was a playoff berth, and then wrap up that season. In the first 2, 3, 4 seasons, they'll be a bit more slow as we're still following the stories of a lot of our players. Guys like Matty Beniers, he's only 28 right now, but once he gets close to retirement and we're in years 19, 20, 23, those will be much more fast, as I'm not sure if any of these players will actually even be on our team here come 15 years time. But for right now, we want to follow the stories of Popov, of Moss, the retirements of Tarasenko coming soon, our goaltender Peyton Hollywood will. Still lots of great storylines to follow as there are many years to come, but we want to start our next series here on NHL 22. Now, throughout the next 15 years, I'm going to be making a few changes to the rules here because I'm not going to be touching them as much. It's going to be a bit more of a hands-off approach, as I will only be doing the things that the AI does not do. For example, when it comes to the contract phase, I'll take care of the contracts because the AI does not know how to manage a team. I'll do the 85% trick, and I'll get a team put out on the ice. I will not be doing the scouting. They can auto-scout. I will be doing the drafting so that the best players are drafted, but I will not be scouting those players. Injuries are turned off because I don't want to have to go call people up, send people down, fix all the lines. 15 years of simulation. I would like to get this done in 2 or 3 days. You know, the series just ended. When I start the next series, I don't want to play with injuries. It takes a long time to do all that. So injuries will be turned off. Let's see what else. Auto rotate goalies on, of course. I'm not going to put auto sign free agents or anything like that because I'll take care of it. Auto staff management I will turn on. I don't really care too much to sign my own scouts and things like that. As the years go on, our scouting will be, a bit more of a shot in the dark when it comes to choosing prospects. But I think that my scouts can still get it done on auto, and the auto staff management, they can hire them as they please. I don't want to have to take care of that every July 1st. Auto scouting is on. CPU trades will still be happening. Sim engine scoring stays on medium. The draft class qualities will also stay on medium. And that's it for the settings there. So think of it as if we are transitioning into the president of hockey operations role, where we'll kind of be hands off, not doing too much, but we'll still do some contract negotiations, do some drafting, but we'll let whoever new AI GM is come in and do what he has to do. Where I'm not going to be making trades really unless something really stands out. I'm not going to be checking out the trade blocks, all that kind of stuff. We're just pretty much going to let the simulation go so we can see the end of these storylines. So at the end of the 25 years, we'll do a big wrap up on all the stats, all the awards, the record, the franchise records, and all that. And between each year, I'll put a little card telling you what year it is, and I'll also have the timestamps down here if you want to jump ahead to anywhere in particular. So without further ado, I'm going to start hopping into this off season, and I'll see you at the beginning of 2031-32. I will just quickly tell you, of course, what we're dealing with. So that's where this timestamp will go here, looking at the 2031 off season. In the last one, we re-signed Nathan MacKinnon for 2 more years at $9.05 million. That'll keep him around. But Jacob Chikrin also signed for 1, 2, 3, for 3 more years at $9.7 million. Yes. Alex Tuch is the biggest one right here, as we will have $18 million or so to play with, but he wants $8.5 million. We could get him for somewhere in the 7s, but that's still very expensive, and he'll be going down now that he's getting older. Him leaving would open up a spot in the top 6, which would be very, very important for us. I'd like to keep Lume, who's now at an 85 overall. He's been really good in a 4th line role for most of his career. This guy has to see the top 9. He scored 50 points as a 4th liner, 9 power play points, but 10 minutes a night scored 41 even strength points. Maloney, Tarasenko wants to come back for 1 more. He just scored 41 goals. He wants to do it again, no problem. Kobasu's going to want a lot of money, so I'm going to have to do some cap jiu-jitsu to keep all these guys, but it very, very likely means that Alex Tuch will walk to free agency. So barring a miracle, I will go ahead and say that I believe Alex Tuch will be walking away. This is the first wrap-up right here. A player that we have enjoyed having during most of this series, as he was on Vegas scoring 30-40 points a year, got buried on the 4th line on their team. We saw him on the trade block. We acquired him. He scored 394 points in 470 games. He has 4 Stanley Cup rings with us in 2026, 2027, and 2030 and 2031. He was a big playoff performer with us as well, scoring 93 points in 112 playoff games with Seattle. It's been amazing having him here, and it's such a great storyline as well when we can get him in a very realistic way. He was being buried, he was being disrespected, we gave him new life, he was a reclamation project for us, and we never looked back. So Alex Tuch, thank you for your service here in Seattle. As your retirement is coming close, we'll see how his career wraps up. We're going to try and keep Tarasenko and everyone else that we really want. Tikhonov should be 3rd line center now, as he's up to an 81 overall. Eli Manning would be great to keep him as well. We'll also unfortunately have to let go of Nick Malik, our hero of the 2030 playoff run. He's been a very good backup, a couple of fantastic seasons especially. -1 game with Vegas and 11 games with Florida, so -12. 82 games played with us, 4 wins. That means 49 wins through those 82 games. He's had very good numbers the last couple years, especially, as I mentioned. He's been a good backup for us in the playoffs. He got that 12-3-0 record, 4 shutouts, insane, incredible numbers in 2030. However, he's an 82 overall backup who would want to get paid upwards of $5 million for multiple years. We could do 1 year, $4 million or so, but that's just money that we do not have, and we have other goalies in the system who can take his place for way cheaper. So we will unfortunately be forced to watch Nick Malik walk to free agency. So I'll take care of the offseason. We'll see how we're looking in the NHL and the AHL. I'll go through the draft, but I don't think we really have any big picks. I'll only show the draft picks if we ever find ourselves getting like a top 10 pick or some sort of crazy gem. I'll show that, but aside from that, I won't show you too much of the off seasons. I'll take care of that off camera. I believe that's just about it for the information that you have to know. Sit back, relax. Hope it won't be a 2.5-hour video. I'll try and keep it as tight as possible. And let's get started on 2031-32, year number 11. Year number 11, and we're already starting to see some changes in Seattle, as now with Alex Tuch gone, Vitaly Popov will replace him as first-line left winger, the playmaker with 99 passing. He's had a couple of really good seasons, not as good as this past season, when it wasn't as good as the year before that, but give him the increased ice time, and it may just do the trick. Second line, Asher Maloney is promoted from the 3rd line to the 2nd line. He'll be the playmaker with Matty Beniers and Chris Moss. 3rd line, Bergenheim, Tikhonov, and Lume. Tikhonov and Lume are the promoted players from the 4th line. Lume at an 85 overall. I got him signed just to a cheap 1-year deal. He's going to get his paydays just at Tarasenko and Bear, who are likely gone next season, are taking up a lot of money, because Tarasenko, he signed on, but he wanted 4.375. He's an 80 overall with AHL top 6 potential, but you had to play him after 41 goals last year. He'll get 4th line plus power play time. Centering that line is Josh Petrovic, the prospect we picked up from the Minnesota Wild, and we traded Tiny Morrison there last season, and Eli Manning on the right wing, now at 80 overall. On defense is Chychrun and Kobasu, who's still at an 81 overall, but he's playing like a first pair D. We signed him to a big deal. That's 5 years at just shy of $5 million per. Second pair is Byram and Bear. He's on his last season of 6.475, so that'll free up a lot of space. Third pair, Kozlov now plays with Jonathan Morrison. Caleb Rolison wanted about $4.5 million as an 81 overall. Just could not afford that. We're at the absolute cap right now. So I traded him to the Capitals for Jonathan Morrison, a low elite 81 overall prospect, more than a prospect, 22 years of age, second round pick in 2027. Seems like a solid defenseman, so I'm happy to have him on board. Goaltending, it's now a 90 overall for Peyton Wilm, the highest he's ever been. He's backed up by 82 overall Marcus Hilpert. No scratches because there are no injuries. Down in the AHL, we'll have players like Burrows, who will make the NHL next year at an 80 overall. Camilleri, Israel Malhi, he got offer sheeted, and I had to match it for $1.3 million, but then I couldn't afford to keep him at $1.3 million as our fourth goalie in the system, so I traded him to Pittsburgh for Landon Camilleri, this top 6 prospect, and a defenseman who's actually in the juniors right now, but a 79 overall offensive defenseman. I believe he's 19 years of age, so that'll be a good little move for us right there as we move out a couple of our better prospects, but we weren't able to afford them this year due to the Tarasenko and Bear money. But next season, if they're gone, that frees up another $10 million. Most of the group is still together. We'll try to run it back and look for a third consecutive Stanley Cup, our second three-peat, and our 6th in franchise history. Let's try and go 1, 2, 3, off, 1, 2, 3, and make it 6 cups in 11 years. Captains stay the same. I'm going to sim through the season. I'll let you know if anything happens along the way, but if not, I'll see you at the end of 2031-32. In year number 11, it was a third consecutive President's Trophy for the first time in franchise history as the Seattle Kraken finished first in the NHL and the West and the Pacific, obviously. 58, 23, and 1 was our record, scoring 3.62 per game, 2.55 against per game. Our power play of 23.3% was the best in the NHL, and our pounding kill of 88.4% was also the best in the NHL, so a huge year for the special teams. Now, in the points department, it seems like the first line really felt the loss of Alex Tuch, as for the first time in a very long time, the team was not led in points by Nathan MacKinnon. But that's okay, because Matty Beniers picked up the slack. 46 goals and 90 points for him, a new career high in goals and tying his career high in points. Big year for him. Nathan MacKinnon, 71 points, his lowest in a very long time. He's down to 91 overall, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's back to 80, 90, 100 by next year. Asher Maloney is the one who really surprised me. Huge year from him, as his previous career high was 51 points. He goes ahead and scores 68. 55 assists and 68 points in a full 82-game season. Of course, Chris Moss, 67 points from him, the second-line sniper, career high as well for him. He's been very consistent year in and year out, very similar numbers. Isaiah Marco, slow year for him as well, 63 points on our first line. So maybe Vitaly Popov isn't the guy for that line. He scored 53 assists and 62 points. New career, actually not even a career high. No career highs in any category there. So maybe Popov on the first line isn't the answer. I'll keep that in mind moving forward. Maybe Maloney. Tarasenko at the age of 40. Vladimir Tarasenko, the captain, scores 26 goals and 50 points. He was at the point on the power play, and then I changed him to playing on the wing on the power play. Scored 6 goals and 8 points on the man advantage. 50-point season. He still got it. He was only playing 943 a night, and he was able to score 26 goals. So this is likely the last season for him. I'd love to try and get a cup before he retires. Let's make it another three-peat. Tikhonov, 49 points as our third-line center. He got promoted, and for good reason. He's been very good, 19 goals, 30 assists. Rickard Bergenheim, 20 goals, 48 points. Pasi Lume, 47. He's in that 40-50 range now, which is very good. Chychrun, 46 and a plus 28. Bowen Byram, 42. Love that. Josh Petrovic in his rookie season, 33 points. Eli Manning, 29. Kobasu, 20 with a plus 34. Ethan Bear, 18 points and a plus 13 now at the age of 34. Just a monster. I believe the third longest serving player on the team after Tarasenko and Beniers. Morrison in his first season with us, 18 points and a plus 25. Kozlov, 10 goals, 17 points, plus 33. Peyton Wilm coming off of a Vezina. He's won 2 Vezinas in the last 3 years. Could he get another? I think he absolutely could. He went 48, 18, and 1. No shutouts for either goalie, but a 915 save percentage and 2.36 goals against average. That might be good enough for back-to-back Vezinas and 3 in 4. Marcus Hilpert went 10-5 and 0. Didn't have the greatest numbers at 884 save percentage and 3.16 goals against average. So Cole Kelly, wow, with crazy numbers in the AHL. He's likely our backup next season. Not super impressed there with Hilpert. So great season. I'm going to go much more quickly in the future, but since we're still with a lot of names we want to see, we're going to go slowly through the points. Here's how everybody looked in year number 11, and let's see if it can continue to translate into the postseason. Unfortunately, in the 2032 postseason, we fell in round number 1 to the San Jose Sharks in 5 games. The Sharks are going to lose to the Oilers, who finally didn't have the Kraken to beat. They went to the Stanley Cup final and then lost in 7 games to Les Canadiens de Montréal. So in part, I do blame the calendar sim for us performing poorly, as the calendar sim and the slow sim are different. But regardless, point per game for Popov and McKinnon, 4 in 5 for Beniers, Marco, and Bergenheim. Moss and Byron both with 3, Lume then 2, then everyone else with 1 or 0 down the list here. The third defensive pairing did not do very well. Goaltending, Peyton Wilm went 1-1-3, 3 overtime losses, brutal. 883 save percentage, 3.30 goals against average. Again, calendar sim, different than slow sim, so part of the blame goes to that. And in the awards, we did have, of course, on top of the President's Trophy, we did get 1 award in Peyton Wilm winning the William M. Jennings for the 2nd consecutive season. So at least there's that. Didn't get the Vezina, though, as it went to Hunter Jones. No other awards for us. And hold on to your hats, because in the 2032 offseason, both Nathan MacKinnon and Vladimir Tarasenko decide to call it a career. At times like this, I'd love to just go back out and redo the save file to make them not retire. But, MacKinnon, he had a down year. He's still a 90 overall. He's only 36. But he had a down year. His worst year, at 71 points since 2020-21 with Colorado. So over 10 years since he's had a season like that. Still scored 32 goals on that, but I guess he just wasn't feeling it after a first round exit. He still had 1 more year at over $9 million that he's giving up. So that is a huge blow and a huge shock, and it gives us a lot of money to play with. So maybe we'll be players in free agency. But aside from the shock, just taking a moment to appreciate Nathan MacKinnon. Had 3 Conn Smythes, a couple of Hearts. The awards will be recapped at the end. But what a career with the Kraken for Nathan MacKinnon. He was on the Avalanche. They didn't have the money to re-sign him. He had, coming off an 89-point season in 75 games, goes to free agency. We tell him he's going to be the man for us. He's been first-line center all the way through since he came to Seattle. And since then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 seasons with the Kraken. In those 9 years, he never missed a beat, right? Yeah, 82 games every single season, scoring 882 points in 738 games. That's good enough to average just about 1.2 points per game over those 9 seasons. 1,614 points in 1,468 games in his career. A first ballot Hall of Famer. His number will be retired immediately by the team. He'll be on the statue in front of Climate Pledge Arena. Even in the playoffs as well. Huge playoff performer, like I said, with all of those Conn Smythe trophies. Through his 9 years with us, he had 9 playoff berths and scored 185 points in 152 games. Good enough to average 1.22 points per game in the playoffs, so he was always able to turn on the Jets when it came to the postseason. That is a huge blow. He goes out holding franchise records. Number 1 and 2 in most of our franchise records are leaving this offseason, with MacKinnon and Tarasenko both going out. Vladimir Tarasenko, take time on him as well. He retires with 1,115 points in 1,390 games, 550 goals in his career. He goes out as a 78 overall at the age of 40. He was our longest serving member here on the Kraken. He came here in the expansion draft. The Blues put him up, and we said we will gladly take him. 11 seasons with Seattle, playing pretty much the whole way through every year, never less than 70 games. Through his 11 years with Seattle, he had the C on his chest for every single game. 859 with the Kraken. 332 goals in those 859 games. I believe that's good enough to average 32 goals per season. And of course, 673 points to go along with it. And don't forget those 5 Stanley Cup rings. Vladimir Tarasenko, what a career with Seattle. Leaving St. Louis, coming to the Kraken, being its captain, and becoming a legend. 130 points in 171 playoff games, including the 2025 Conn Smythe, as he scored 32 points in 23 games. Another first ballot Hall of Famer, another jersey retirement. Absolutely the centerpiece on the statue in front of Climate Pledge Arena. McKinnon and Tarasenko retiring in 2032. Even Alex Tuch actually retiring. One more year in the league for him. He retires going to the Rangers. He ends off with 727 points. With the Rangers, he played 1 year and scored 45 points. Definitely not the same as with Seattle. So there's 3 of our top 6 at one point retiring 2032. Tuch, McKinnon, and Tarasenko. Really crazy to think about it in that way. But man, I can't get over McKinnon and Tarasenko. We'll touch more upon them at the end of the video when we look at the franchise records. But what incredible numbers, and we're wishing them all the best in their retirement. Thank you for your service to the Seattle Kraken and its fans. Year number 12 now, and we have had some big changes in Seattle. In free agency, we had over $20 million to play with, and the Colorado Avalanche once again let a major star walk to free agency, Peyton Baines. We said, hey, you're here in free agency, we have money now, we might not have money later, how about we just smash you with $15 million backed up into your driveway? The Polish sniper signed on for 1 year, 5-star shooting, the third overall pick. He's a third overall pick in 2024, consistently scores 30 to 50 goals in the 80-point range. Give him Beniers, who is now our number 1 centerman. It's been a long time coming. The baton has finally been passed to him. Give him Isaiah Marco. Maybe Baines can do something with that. Second line, Maloney, Popov, and Moss, all 86 overalls. Third line, Bergenheim, Tikhonov up to an 82, and Petrovic, who now graduates to the third line as an 81. And fourth line is Jason Williams, a 5th round pick, 148th overall in 2027. He's a grinder with 5-star puck skills and physical, 93 shot blocking, 94 stick checking, so he should be good on that fourth line. Love seeing prospects like him pan out. Landon Camilleri, a prospect that we picked up from the Penguins last year, and Sylvain Burrows, our 40th overall pick in 2027. He's now made it here to the NHL. Defensively, we have Chikrin, Kobasu, Kozlov, Byram, because now Ethan Bear has dropped to a 78 overall. He is now the longest serving member of the Kraken, 35 years of age, listed as a depth defenseman, but we can't not play him. Jonathan Morrison also back for another year. Goaltending, it's Peyton Wilm, and Cole Kelly has now grown to an 84 overall. 5th round pick, 137th overall in 2027. The American 6'5" goalie is pushing for a starting role in the future, perhaps. If he grows too much, it's a 1-year contract. I'll see if I can get him extended cheap, but we'll see what happens there. Worst case, we have others in the system. Gorin, the high elite. Drieger, the medium elite. So no problem there. Hopefully Cole Kelly can do well in the backup role. It's definitely a transitionary type season for the Kraken, so let's see what happens when Peyton Baines is added to the mix and some players are graduating. Beniers now first line center. Lots of interesting things right there. Concerning the captains now, with our captain and alternate now gone, I've decided to name Ethan Bear as our new captain. Just a no-brainer decision, I think, there. First alternate, Matty Beniers, and second alternate will be Isaiah Marco, 2 very long-serving players. In year number 12, we had 6 less wins than year number 11, but we still captured the President's Trophy, this time for a 4th consecutive season. 110 points, 52, 24, and 6 was our record, 1 point better than the Arizona Coyotes. We're scoring a ton, but we were allowing more than usual at 2.89. Points-wise, it was a strong season as Matty Beniers took the reins of the Kraken, hit 30 years of age, and scored 95 points, new career high in assists and points for him, really taking over as our leader. Great to see that in the points department. Isaiah Marco went over a point per game with 84, the most that he had scored in a couple of years, and on off it seems to be when it comes to points per game or above. Asher Maloney, so halfway through the year, Maloney and Baines, I found that they weren't doing as well as they could have, so I swapped them on the first and second lines, and it looks like that was a great choice as Maloney ends up going a point shy of point per game, 81 in 82, 65 assists. Vitaly Popov, speaking of great improvement, 80-point season from him, new career high by far, 67 assists and 80 points, new career highs in both those categories, I think in goals too. Peyton Baines scored 72 points and 45 goals, around what he usually scores, a bit more than what he'd been doing recently. Points not quite at the 80s, but 72 points, I'm pretty content with that. Chris Moss scored 37 goals and 71 points, new career high in points, as he's been a great sniper on that second line. Jacob Chikrin, 70-point season from the 35-year-old defenseman, a new career high by far. His highest with us was 62 a few years ago, and then after that it really goes nowhere close. 63 assists from him, 20 power play points, amazing from him. Another reclamation project we've had here in Seattle. Rickard Bergenheim on the third line plus power play, 16 minutes a night. He scores 65 points, a new career high for him if we just go by the last couple seasons. So he's been in the 30s, the 40s, improving every single season aside from that first to second dip. Aside from that, consistent improvement. New career high in assists and points. More assists than he'd ever had points before. 14 power play points. Rickard Bergenheim looking very nice. The 22nd overall pick in 2026. Vitaly Tikhonov, 36 goal season. Almost doubling what he had previously done. 62 points as well. Great new career highs for Vitaly Tikhonov. I'm really looking forward to having him on this team, hopefully long term. Unless all these guys start wanting crazy money. Petrovic, 39 points. Bowen Byram, 34. Camilleri on the fourth line, 27. Kobasu, 22 with a plus 35. Williams, 22. Burrows, 22. Morrison, 21. Kozlov, 16 with a plus 34 on that second defensive pair. Just he'll never grow in overall, but whatever. Ethan Bear, possibly his last season, 11 points and a -3 from our captain. Goalies in this season, Peyton Wilm went 42, 18, and 3 with 8 shutouts, 905 save percentage, 2.61 goals against average. Cole Kelly didn't look great, 10-7 and 3 good record, but an 876 save percentage and 3.69 goals against from the 84 overall. So, yeah, hopefully that means he'll sign for cheaper, but tough numbers there, I do have to say. Great season totals from the players, another President's Trophy. Let's hit the postseason. In the 2033 postseason, we went all the way back to the Stanley Cup final, but for the first time in franchise history, we could not capture the cup. The Senators beat us in 7 games. We took down the Wild in 6. The Oilers, as always, in a big 7-game series, took down the Predators in 5, but then the Senators took us down in 7. All of our Stanley Cup finals previously were won by us in 4, 5, or 6 games. The Senators were up 3-2. We pushed them to 7, but we lost in Game 7. In the postseason, Peyton Baines showed up. 12 goals, 12 assists, 24 points in 25 games from him. Marco, 23. Beniers, 22. Moss, 21. Chychrun, 21. Popov, 20. A lot of players showed up offensively, I do have to say. Very happy to see that. Goaltending-wise, did we struggle there? 15, 9, and 1 from Wilm. Had 2 shutouts, 917 save percentage, 2.50 goals against. I think it's just the Senators were the better team because we played extremely well. Oh, and just to note, huge retirements for the Oilers as McDavid and Draisaitl both retire here in 2033, so really changing the landscape when it comes to the Pacific Division, as they retire with some wild numbers, and that may open the competition up in the Pacific Division. Year number 13, and more changes continue to happen to the Seattle Kraken as Asher Maloney walked in free agency. He wanted close to 14 million, like 13.7. So we just couldn't afford him. It's him or like 3 other players. So unfortunately, we had to let him go. Baines, Beniers, Marco will be the first line. Bergenheim, now up to an 86, takes the second line spot. He'll play with Popov, who's up to an 88, and Chris Moss. Third line, Petrovic, who's up to an 84, with Tikhonov at an 83, and Burrows at an 81. Fourth line is Camilleri, who's now at an 82. Vikingstad, who was our 32nd overall pick in 2030. Fourth line center, and Tommy Beach. He was a third-round pick in 2028. These depth picks are starting to come in handy now as we have some nice bottom 6 presence there. You know what? On second thought, Burrows would give a +1 to the fourth line, so I'll do Burrows here. Beach, Tikhonov, Petrovic on the third line for the +2 maintained. Defense, Chychrun and Kobasu as always. Second pair is Byram and Bill Thorne. Bill is a 148th selection in 2029, has 92 blocking, 91 stick checking, so let's see how you do, Bill. He'll play with Kozlov and Jorgen Eriksson, who is a 45th overall pick in 2029. Offensive defenseman, great numbers in the AHL. He'll play with Kozlov. Could swap this up here, but we have the +2 on the chemistry, so I want to keep it. Goalies, 88 overall Peyton Wilm, backed up by 84 overall Cole Kelly. The cap is tight. Inflation's getting difficult. I want to ride out this core moving forward until I really go more hands-off and let the simulation take over. But now, you may have noticed that also Ethan Bear no longer with us. He was a 76 overall, wanting $2 million. No room organizationally or financially. So that means that our new captain, it's been a long time coming, no question, Matty Beniers, the next captain, third in franchise history of the Seattle Kraken. First alternate is Isaiah Marco, and second alternate will go to Jacob Chychrun, now 35 or 36 years of age, great veteran presence on that blue line. With all that taken care of, we can now hop into year number 13, where we will be looking to run it back for another Stanley Cup final appearance. Make it 5 consecutive President's Trophies in year number 13 as we went 56, 20, and 6 to have the best record in the NHL. Same number of wins as the Blue Jackets, but 3 more points. A very offensive year, a bit more solid defensively. That got us to 56 wins and another President's Trophy. Power play still nice and high. Penalty kill could be a bit better, but we won't complain when we're winning the President's Trophy. Rickard Bergenheim, 88-point season to lead the team in scoring. How do you like that? The 22nd overall pick in 2026 has really come into his own the last few years. Unfortunately, he's going to cost us a boatload of money now, but a new career high in goals, assists, and points for him playing on the second line. Chris Moss, 45 goals and 82 points, career highs in both those categories. Vitaly Popov, 78-point season. Matty Beniers, 35 goals, 73 points, nothing too wild. Petrovic, though, what? 70 points on the third line on the power play, from 39 points to 70. Great year from Josh Petrovic. Peyton Baines, 63 points, 22 goals. I'd want more for a guy getting as much money as he's getting, so I don't know, maybe we look elsewhere. Some sort of blockbuster move is needed to stay competitive. Isaiah Marco, 62 points there. Maybe a better playmaker. I think when Asher Maloney was there, that's what was working. When Alex Tuck was there, playmaking. So a first-line playmaker may replace Baines next season. Camilleri, 34 goals and 59 points from the fourth liner playing power play minutes. Pff, what? Chychrun, 53 plus 35. Tikhonov, 31 goals, 49 points. Beach, Burrows, Byram, Eriksson, Kobasu, great plus minus again. Thorne, Kozlov, there are all the points. Goaltending, Peyton Wilm went 47, 14, and 5 with 7 shutouts, 912 save percentage, 2.44 goals against. Cole Kelly had a good season as a backup, 9-6 and 1, 2 shutouts from him, 920 save percentage, 2.3 goals against average. With another President's Trophy, let's hope that it's another deep postseason run. But in the postseason, it was a tough second-round exit against the new kids on the block here in the Pacific Division, the Calgary Flames, who beat the Oilers and then beat the Kraken on their road to a Stanley Cup championship. We beat the Kings in 5, then lost in 5 ourselves. All 5 of our wins, funnily enough, came in overtime. So these were tight games through and through. That's why the scoring, maybe we just need that playmaking on that first line. Isaiah Marco, Chris Moss, and Matty Beniers all had 8 points in 10 games. Bergenheim, Petrovic with 7. Popov, Camilleri, Burrows down there. Burrows, funnily enough, 5 assists in 10 games. Wilm, though, 5-4 and 1, 892 save percentage, 3.02 goals against average. And for the individual awards, we have Peyton Hollywood Wilm winning another Vezina Trophy and another Jennings Trophy. Very well deserved. 3 in 4 years now for Wilm when it comes to the Jennings. Also in the 2034 offseason, our former captain Ethan Bear calling it a career. He goes out with 288 points in 1,020 games. Not as offensive as he is in the real world. In 809 games with the Kraken, Ethan Bear scored 241 points, but he was, some of these years 11, 18, some years closer to the high 20s, the 30s. He really showed up in the playoffs, I gotta say, comparatively. In the regular season, he was averaging a point every 3, 4, 5 games, depending on the season. In the playoffs, he was averaging a point every 3 games or so, 56 in 186 in his career, minus 8 games, so 56 in 178. Even better with the Kraken. He has 5 Stanley Cup rings. He has a legacy. He's on that statue with McKinnon and Tarasenko in front of Climate Pledge Arena. So thank you for a great career, Mr. Ethan Bear. It's been an honor having you and wishing you all the best in your retirement. Also, a quick shout out to channel favorite Dennis the Chosen One Chalowski, who came from Detroit in the expansion draft. He also retires in 2034. Year number 14, and we continue to see more turnover in Seattle as Rickard Bergenheim, of course, after such a good year, follows in the steps of Asher Maloney, goes to free agency, signs for upwards of $16 million. The contracts are just absolutely ludicrous here in the 2030s. So Josh Petrovic hopefully can take over that first-line playmaking role. He's an 87 overall who we got from the Wild, remember, back in the Tiny Morrison trade a few episodes ago. It's nice to see that he's grown into a full-time NHLer, although he will need a massive contract after this season and will likely walk. Beniers and Marco on the first line. Unfortunately, no matter who we put there, it doesn't have the right chemistry because Beniers is not great for the first line. Second line is Emiliano Harima. I made a trade with the Dallas Stars. They had a lot of playmakers. We had the overabundance of snipers in Peyton Baines. So I said, you know what? Let's swap Baines and Harima with the Stars here. He's an 89 overall playmaker coming off of a 70-some assist season. Although he's another player who will need a contract after this year. I'd be happy to sign him for 14, 15, but when they want 17, 18, who knows what's going to happen next year. He's going to play with Popov and Moss on the second line, 88 and 87. Popov, another player who's going to need a contract after this season and will cost a ton. Camilleri now up to an 85 overall. That's great to see with Tikhonov and Beach at an 84. Fourth line is Miettinen, a player we drafted first round 2030 with Vikingstad and Sylvain Burrows. Defensively, Chikrin, Kobasu as always, Byram and Strachan. He is the guy that we got from the Penguins a couple years back. Eriksson and Kozlov on that third pair. Goaltending, it's Peyton Wilm at an 89 overall. Another player who's going to have his contract running out. He's backed up by 85 overall Cole Kelly. In the AHL, we have 82 overall Orlando Gorin. High elite, has starter potential. So if things aren't going well with Cole Kelly, I'll likely call Gorin up, maybe make a trade, something like that. Because Kelly is not costing us a lot, but I don't want to stunt Orlando Gorin's growth. So the lineup looks like this. The turnover is tough. The salary cap is bonkers. But year number 14, after a second round exit last year, let's see if we can get back Beniers, Marco, Popov, Moss. The core is still with us. Let's run it back. No President's Trophy in year number 14 was another solid season for the Kraken as they led the Western Conference with 107 points. 50, 25, and 7 was our record. Matty Beniers led the team in scoring with 84 points in 82 games. Our captain's doing very well. Marco 75, Popov 67, Moss 38 goals, 65 points. Very good. Camilleri 37 goals and 65 points. Love to see that. Harima 61 points, 82 games. Not what I was expecting from a player of his caliber. We lost Tuck, Bergenheim, Maloney. We've needed that left wing to be reinforced. Thankfully, now he wants like 11 million instead of 18 million, so we can get him re-signed, but we'll see what happens with him. Petrovic on the first line, 59 points, not what Beniers and Marco needed. Beach 53, Tikhonov 50, Chikrin 44 with a plus 40, crazy plus minus. Kobasu 26 plus 35. Miettinen in his rookie season, 19 goals from him. 98 wrist shot accuracy, did well I suppose. 19 goals playing 8 minutes a night. Byram 22 points, Vikingstad 21, Eriksson 18, Kozlov 17 plus 34. And that's just about it for the scoring. Goaltending, Peyton Wilm went 37, 17, and 6. 3 shutouts, 909 save percentage, 2.56 goals against average. Cole Kelly did well, 13, 8, and 1 with 1 shutout. Not bad enough that I said I'm going to go ahead and trade him. Gorin, on the other hand, 49, 17, and 1, 8 shutouts. He will absolutely be, at the very least, our backup next season. Kelly will likely find himself in a trade, despite being 85 overall with starter potential. He's good, but just I don't think we're moving on from Wilm just yet. With another Western Conference title under our belt, we're ready to hit the 2035 postseason. And in the postseason, we swept through the first round against Dallas, but then drop in 6 games to the Anaheim Ducks in round number 2. The Ducks would go on to lose in 7 to the Vegas Golden Knights, who beat the Bruins for the 2035 Stanley Cup. In the playoffs, the points were there. Vitaly Popov led the team in points as he had 13 in 10 games. Harima looked good, 11 in 10 for him. Beniers, Camilleri with 8, Strachan with 7 after having a crazy season offensively. Strachan, whatever you want to call him. Marco, Kozlov, 7 points in 10 games for Alex Kozlov. What? This guy knows how to show up in the big moments. Petrovic, Miettinen, Moss all the way down here. How did Peyton Wilm do this postseason? 6-3 and 1, 2 shutouts, 912 save percentage, 2.65 goals against average. Seems as though the goals just dried up at the worst times. In the awards, it was another Jennings Trophy for Peyton Hollywood Wilm, now 4 in the last 5 years. Only a couple of Vezinas, but now 4 Jennings Trophies for him in the last 5 years. Great to see that. But with a ton of expiring contracts, I believe we have $65 million in contract extension space. It's going to be a difficult offseason, and we'll see how this team looks headed into year number 15. And a big retirement in the 2035 offseason as our best defenseman in franchise history, I would say, points-wise for sure. Jacob Chikrin calls it a career, 712 points in 1,415 games at the age of 37. Chikrin scored 423 points in 666 games with the Kraken. Really crazy numbers. Another reclamation project for us after we picked him up from the Coyotes. He was not being treated well, not scoring a lot. He was on their trade block. We picked him up, and the rest is is history. He has his Stanley Cup rings as well, as in 140 playoff games with us, he scored 102 points. Chychrun also retires as a monster in the plus-minus category, as he retires at a plus 161 in his career, but with the Kraken was a plus 254. So we are definitely going to feel his presence not being there on the blue line, on the top pair with Braden Kobasu. But that'll unfortunately mean more changes for the Kraken this offseason. Headed into year number 15 now, we'll have our top line as Hirima, Beniers, and Marco. We got Hirima signed on for 7 years at over $11 million. If he doesn't perform, we'll keep trying out different players on that top line, but I'd like him to be our guy, even though he's dropped down to an 85. Second line, Petrovic, Popov, and Moss. Petrovic only signed on for 1 year at 4.6. He didn't want anything more than that. If it did go longer term, he'd want crazy money, so this is probably the actual last season we have with him, because then we have Camilleri, Beach, other guys like that who want the top 6 minutes. Camilleri 86 overall, Beach 87 overall, so that's a strong third line. Fourth, we have Burrows and Miettinen on the wing. Solomon Durapos playing center, low elite, 82 overall, 20 years of age, 63rd overall pick in 2033. Defensively, without Jacob Chychrun, there were no big fish really in free agency, so we're going to have to roll like this. Hopefully next year with Petrovic's money and maybe some other money freed up, we can get someone bigger. Bowen Byram at the age of 34 will play first pair with Phil Strachan. Second pair will be Kobasu and this 22-year-old medium top 4D prospect Braden Domi. He's an offensive defenseman with solid defense, 90 shot blocking, 90 stick checking, and he has done okay so far. In the AHL, he's been good. NHL only had 1 year with Anaheim. So hopefully he can become a big name for us down the road here, because we need to get players in our system. Third pair, Kozlov and Artem Emelin, 6th round pick in 2028. 5-star puck skills. Great to see him making the NHL. Goalies now, very interesting. Peyton Wilm at an 88, backed up by 87 overall Orlando Gorin, 23 years of age, high elite. We have him for 2 years at 1.25, but this may be the last year of Peyton Wilm, not because of ability or because people are necessarily pushing him out, but because he's making 9.25 for 5 more years. Take that money, take Petrovic's money, get some stronger defense. We have Gorin at an 87. We have this goalie here, James Hickman, 20 years of age. He's 80 overall. I used the 31st overall selection, first round pick in 2033 to take him. There was no one really interesting to me. I saw a high-ranked goaltender. I went for him, and now a couple years later, he's already an 80 overall. We're in a pretty good spot. We have most of our players signed longish term, no more 1 year, 1 year. Petrovic is the biggest question mark. Peyton Wilm, he's going to really have to impress us, or else we're going to have to move on from him, because that's a big cap hit. It's going to hurt, but that may be what we have to do. But year number 15, let's hit it. And of course, with Jacob Chychrun now gone, we need a new alternate captain. I'd like to put at least one on the blue line. I'm going to give it to Alexander Kozlov. Byram's the oldest guy, but when it comes to service and longevity and clutch goals as well, somehow from the defensive defenseman, Kozlov has been our guy. A very well-deserved A on his chest moving forward. Year 15 was a great year in Seattle, as after 1 year off, we're back to winning the President's Trophy. We beat the Edmonton Oilers by 5 points. They're back to being fighters in the Pacific Division. Our record was 54, 19, and 9. When it came to the scoring, Matty Beniers put up 40 goals and 94 points. Absolutely love to see that from the captain. Vitaly Popov, 69 assists, 84 points from the playmaking extraordinaire. A new career high in points for him by 4 points. Very, very happy to see that for him. Isaiah Marco, point per game. Josh Petrovic, 77 points. It's going to hurt that he's leaving, so let's try and get a cup out of him. Harima, 76 points. Very content to see that. Chris Moss, 42 goals. Landon Camilleri, 34 goals, 63 points from him. Tikhonov, another solid 50-plus point season. Beach, 44, 87 overall. On the third line, I guess maybe it has to do with the ice time, no power play time. Sylvain Burrows, 42. Byram, 37 and a plus 40. Now at the age of 34, great to see that. Durapos, rookie season, 27. Miettinen, 19 goals, 26. Kobasu, 24. Domi, 20. Strachan, 18. Kozlov, 14 plus 26. Emelin, also the same thing. Goaltending now. Peyton Hollywood Wilm went 42, 15, and 5 with 3 shutouts, but a 908 save percentage and 2.58 goals against average. Great record, but never the craziest numbers. Gorin in his rookie year as an 87 went 12, 4, and 4, but sub 900 save percentage and over 3 goals against. Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that over the off season. We're now 5 years removed from our last Stanley Cup, and after a very strong offensive season, I do have to say, we'll be pushing once more in the postseason. Scores! How about that? In Game 7, overtime, on an own goal, it looks like, the Seattle Kraken capture the 2036 Stanley Cup. Oh my goodness. The team looks a little different from the last time that we did it, but Peyton Wilm between the pipes, Matty Beniers, Isaiah Marco, Vitaly Popov, Chris Moss, all those names still with us as we took down the Canadiens in 7. It was a great postseason for us. We'll get to the playoff tree in a moment. But what a way to win the Stanley Cup on a bad bounce own goal in Game 7 overtime. When it comes to the Conn Smythe Trophy, it went to Isaiah Marco for the first time in a long time to a player not named Nathan MacKinnon. I believe it's only been McKinnon and Tarasenko who have won them in our franchise's history. So Isaiah Marco with the A on his chest. He's been here his entire career, and a very well-deserved Conn Smythe for him. Big Gary looking good still in 2036. Matty Beniers with the C on his chest. Big handshake. And after the nice photo op in Seattle in front of the home fans, raises the Stanley Cup for the 6th time in franchise history. It was a pretty smooth ride to the Stanley Cup final as we took down the Sharks in 5, the Flames in 5, swept the Wild in the Western Conference final, but then it was a tough 7-game series against the Canadiens. We got outshot like 38-26 in Game 7, but a lucky bounce in overtime gave us our 6th Stanley Cup. Isaiah Marco very much deserved the Conn Smythe Trophy with 29 points in 21 games, 17 goals from him throughout the postseason, but there were 5 players above a point per game. Landon Camilleri's fighting with that top 6. He'll likely be there as I think Petrovic is on his way out. Beniers, Popov with crazy point totals. Chris Moss, 13 goals and 20 points. Beach showed up in a big way, 17 points from him in 21 games. Strachan as well, 14 points. Players who didn't do much in the regular season showed up big time. Strachan and Byram plus 30 and 27 through just 21 games in the postseason. Crazy. What? Down the list there. And Peyton Hollywood Wilm, what did he do? He was 16-5-0 with 2 shutouts, a .914 save percentage, and 2.38 goals against average. It's going to be tough. Do we keep Peyton Wilm and bring Hickman as the new backup, or do we go Goran and Hickman moving forward? For the moment, let's enjoy this Stanley Cup, another President's Trophy as well. Clarence S. Campbell Bowl there. Individual awards for us this season, of course, the Conn Smythe to Marco. The Vezina to Peyton Wilm once again, 2nd time in the last 3 years. Can we get rid of this guy, really? And Jennings again to Peyton Wilm. Man, he's just eating up the awards. Aside from that, none other for the NHL guys. What a season here in Seattle. Another Stanley Cup. The offseason shouldn't have too much turnover. I'd like the defense to get a little bit stronger, but they did perform. You know, it's not all about the overall. We'll see what we can do and get ready for 2036-37. Year number 16 in Seattle, Harima, Beniers, and Marco on the top line. Beniers now 33 years of age. Second line, Camilleri promoted from a prospect pickup to the 4th line, now a second liner. It's been a great road for him. He's playing with Popov and Moss. Third line, Durapos, Tikhonov, and Beach. 4th line, Sylvain Burroughs, Hugo Bergeron. He was a 1st round pick in 2032 from the Capitals. I believe we picked him up in a trade, and Miettinen on that 4th line. Defensively, we're going to go Domi and Kobasu, Byram and Sergei Suglobov, who we got back. He was a free agent. We signed him. And Kozlov Emelin once again. Strachan was moved out in a trade to free up some cap space. Goaltending, Peyton Hollywood Wilm is back, baby. Orlando Goran was up to an 88. We couldn't afford him after this season anyways. We decided to just trade him to Ottawa for a 1st round pick. Hopefully he becomes a good pick. James Hickman, 21 years of age, 83 overall, is backing him up. Medium league potential. We'll see what happens between Wilm and Hickman, if it'll be a passing of the baton or what. Most players signed long-term, but I believe Camilleri and Kozlov will need new contracts after this season. But hey, we are defending Stanley Cup champions and ready for year number 16. The wins keep on coming in year number 16 as we did not win the President's Trophy, but 112 points is still good enough to win the Pacific. 53, 23, and 6 was our record. Isaiah Marco took a turn leading the team in points this season. 41 goals and 88 points from him. Now at the age of 32. Drafted 4th overall all the way back in 2023. Love this man. Matty Beniers above a point per game. 84 for him. Vitaly Popov, another great playmaking season. 63 apples and 73 points. Chris Moss, 36 goals, 70 points. Hirima, 69. Camilleri, 66. Durapos, looking good, 51. Tikhonov, almost 30 goals. Burrow's a good playmaking year. And down the list we go here as we see the rest of the team. Defense, not doing much since Chychrun has left. No one with more than 20-ish points ever since then. Suglobov, 9 points at the bottom there. Goaltending, Peyton Hollywood Wilms, still got it. Numbers, not fantastic, but 46, 18, and 3. Hey, we'll take that. 909 save percentage, 2.60 goals against. Hickman now, as a backup, goes 7-5-3. 1 shutout, 927 save percentage, 2.14 goals against. Still an 83 overall. Very, very impressive numbers from the young netminder. Will he be challenging Peyton Wilm for the crease sooner rather than later? We'll have to see. With performances like these, it should be a strong postseason as we look to defend our Stanley Cup title. It was a good run in the 2037 playoffs, but for the first time in franchise history, I believe, we lose in the Western Conference Final. After sweeping the Kings and beating the Flames in 6, we drop in 6 ourselves to the Avalanche, who lose in 5 to the New York Rangers. 3 players, point per game or better, as Popov, Moss, and Camilleri scored 20, 19, and 16 points respectively. Not as impressive from Isaiah Marco, especially 10 points in 16 games, or other players like Miettinen and Durapos really showed up in big ways despite not having a lot of ice time. Miettinen, 13 points with under 10 minutes. Well, under, 9:44 a night. Goaltending, Peyton Wilm in the playoffs went 10-6-0, 911 save percentage, 2.61 goals against average. Not horrible numbers. Just seems as though we were getting scoring, but not necessarily from all of the players that we were expecting it from. No player retirements or awards won in 2037, but Cristiano Morrissey does retire as head coach of the Seattle Kraken after many long years with us. I believe, I want to say 13 or 14 seasons. What a record in his career. I think at least like a 70% winning percentage. That definitely has an impact on our line chemistry. So we'll have to get a new head coach for year number 17. At the draft, we had the 11th overall selection from that trade with the Senators last season, plus our own 30th overall pick, trying to move up to get the 4th overall pick from the Vancouver Canucks, as they had it on the block. We can't squeeze much. Could have gotten a 7th or something. With the 4th overall selection, there was a medium league prospect that I had my eye on here. Hugo Appel from the Blainville-Boisbriand Armada. He's a sniper. He's NHL ready. He might be still 70-some overall, not actually ready, but just to have an elite forward prospect in our system would be a big boost for us, as the scouting doesn't tell us much about the other guys. So at least the guy that we do know, let's go ahead and take him. So bienvenue à l'équipe, mon ami. 80 overall, there we go. Medium lead sniper, better than the last couple guys who went. He already has 5-star shooting. That is a huge selection for us. The highest prospect that we have drafted in possibly since like Isaiah Marco back in 2023, I think. We have not picked this high in a long time. So big plus for us moving forward, and we'll see how the lineup looks in 2037-38. Year number 17, and with a new head coach, we're trying out some new lines to maximize the chemistry. Check this out. Sylvain Burrows, he has the 98 passing. Let's try him as the playmaker on our first line with Beniers and Marco +5. Hirima, Popov, and Moss get a +3. Moss has dropped to an 84 for some reason. His potential has dropped to medium, exact top 9. Not sure why. Third line will be Durapos, Tikhonov, and Hugo Appel, our new prospect, 18 years of age and ready to go. +2. Appel answered the call. Shout out to anyone who speaks French, as we definitely needed someone in the top 9. Len Camilleri wanted 11 million. Really wanted to keep him, but again, we just didn't have the money to do it. So he slots in perfectly there. Hirima back to his second line role, and Burrows, big promotion to that first line. Fourth line will be Nazarov, our 39th overall pick in 2032. Mackey, our 28th overall selection in 2034. And Miettinen still on that fourth line. On defense, we unfortunately had to let Byram walk. It was between him or Kozlov. Both wanted around 5-6 million, and we can only keep one of them. So first pair now, especially with this new coach, Domi and Kobasu, getting a +5. Hopefully that can stay for a few years. Great to see that with the lower overalls on the blue line here. Kozlov and Dubois on the second pair. Laurent Laurent Dubois, free agent signing, 82 overall offensive defenseman. We got him on a 1-year deal. Third pair, Suglobov and Emelin getting a +3. Very nice for the chemistry. Peyton Hollywood-Wilms still an 88 overall at 33 years of age, backed up by now 86 overall James Hickman. He signed on for 1 more year, and he's Croatian, by the way. I didn't even know that. Croatian James Hickman signed on for 1 more year at 1.05. I believe I signed him to a 2-year extension at around $2 million, but after that we'll have to really start making some decisions. Hopefully by then Peyton Wilm transitions to more of a backup, but it'll still be costly. Regardless, the lineup is looking great. The chemistry has never been better, and we're ready to go full steam ahead into 2037-38. An exceptionally strong season in year number 17 as the Kraken once again win the President's Trophy, 119 points, a record of 58, our most wins since year number 11, 58, 21, and 3. We averaged 4.2 goals for per game, an extremely offensive season, and that is absolutely demonstrated by the point totals. Popov, 97 points, new career high for him by far, 75 apples, 22 goals as well, not known as a goal scorer. Matty Beniers, 48 goals and 93 points. That +5 really helped. New career high, yes, in NHL goals for him with 48. Hirima, 89 points for him, new Kraken high. Isaiah Marco, 40 goals, 86 points. Chris Moss, 48 goals, 76 points, new career high in goals for him. Very excited to be able to focus on all these players who we've had for a long time here. Solomon Durapos, 65 points from him in his sophomore season. Now listed as a junior season. 3rd year, continues to improve very much. Hugo Appel in his rookie year, what? 42 goals and 64 points, already an 83 overall. Hugo Appel, lui, what a guy. Mietnin, 62 points from him, playing 9:30 a night. What? Sylvain Burrows, 60 points, first line minutes, got him 50 assists. Tikhonov, 49. Emelin, 40. Most points we've had from a defenseman in a very long time. Domi, 39. Nazarov, 33. Kobasu, 27 plus 56. Laurent Dubois, 24. Mackey, 23. Kozlov, 16 plus 36. Suglobov, 10. Goaltending now. Let's see in this monumental year. Peyton Hollywood-Wilm goes 41, 13, and 2. 6 shutouts, 916 save percentage, and 2.32 goals against average. Hickman, 17, 9, and 1 with 1 shutout. Difficult numbers, 896 save percentage, still an 86 overall, and 2.94 goals against average. With great goaltending like this, hopefully some more hardware for Peyton Wilm, and with offense as we've seen here, 1, 2, 3, 4 players above a point per game, let's hope for a deep postseason run. But, of course, we fell in round number 2 this year to the LA Kings. We beat the Wild in 6, but then dropped in 5, going 5 and 6 in the postseason. The Kings went on to beat the Coyotes in 7 and then lose themselves in 7 to the eventual Stanley Cup champion Columbus Blue Jackets. Of course, the scoring dried up a little bit in the postseason as no one went point per game. Beniers with 10 was our best. Mietnin 8, Tikhonov 7. Where are our scores? Appel only 4 points. Where is it? Popov only 4 points. Marco only 4 points. Moss with 3 assists, no goals. Burrows 2 assists. Yeah, so the EA voodoo got us bad on that one. Peyton Hollywood-Wilm, solid numbers. 5-4 and 2, 909 save percentage, 2.66 from Wilm on film. No problem there. Besides the President's Trophy as the team award, we also had the Calder Memorial to Hugo Appel. Aside from that, another Vezina and Jennings duo year from Wilm. This year shared with Hickman, so not just a solo Jennings for Wilm, but another Vezina added to his cupboard. Love to see that. No other awards for us. Year number 18, here we go. The top 6 getting +5s on both lines. Burrows, Beniers, Marco on the first. Second will now be Appel, Popov, and Moss. Hugo Appel up to an 85 overall. Hirima could go on that second line, but goes +3, +1, as opposed to +5, +1 between the second and the third line. Hirima does have the ability to play center. He's way too good for the third line, but it's for the chemistry. Appel doesn't play center. No one will be able to go center on that line, so that's the problem. I'm going to try it like that and try and supplement it with first power play unit and stuff like that. Third line is Maxim Voloshenko, who was a 5th round pick in 2033. He's now made his way to the NHL as an 82 overall with low lead potential. 5-star puck skills, 5-star physical. All right. He's with Hirima and Mietnin, who's now up to an 84 overall. Fourth line is Solomon Durapos with Skylar Jones, free agent signing, 81 overall playmaker, and our Alexei Nazarov, second round pick in 2032. We already mentioned him. Defense goes Domi, Kobasu, Kozlov, Emelin, and Sylvester with Ling. New third pairing, Khalil Sylvester, 94th overall pick in 2037, and Bennett Ling, our first round pick in 28th overall in last year's draft, 2038. So looking forward to seeing how they grow, if at all. Goaltending, it's 87 overall Peyton Wilm, 2 years left on his deal, backed up by 86 overall James Hickman. He has 2 years at 2.35. We'll see what happens between the tandem there. Chemistry's great. Offense should be just as good as last season. Let's see what we can do in the 2038-39 year. Keep the President's Trophies coming in year number 18 as we once again top the league. Seattle Kraken go 55, 18, and 9 for 119 points. Once again, a crazy goals for at 4.1 per game, although we were allowing more than usual at 2.93. Popov, Moss, and Marco all above a point per game. Beniers 81 in 82. Great goal scoring right here. A lot of 30 goal scorers, 240 goal scorers actually, as Miettinen led the team in goals with 44. What? Hugo Appel in his sophomore year, 77 points for him. Harima 74 as the third line centerman plus power play. Good to see that. But Miettinen, 44 goals from him. Crazy, from our 19th overall pick in 2030. Burrows 64, Durapos 52, Domi 52. Haven't seen a defenseman score like that in a very long time. Voloshenko 48, Jones 38, Nazarov, Kobasu, Emelin. Down the list we go there. Plus 22 from Kozlov. It was the rookie pair that had a negative plus minus. Goaltending, Wilm on film goes 43, 9, and 7. 5 shutouts. Honestly, some of his worst numbers in a while. 902 save percentage and 2.79 goals against. Still an 87 overall. Hickman, 12, 9, and 2 with 1 shutout, 886, 3.04 against in his 2 years, or actually now his 3 years as a backup, 36, 23, and 6 with so numbers. So if he wants that starting role, he'd better start waking up a little bit more. Peyton will have the crease in the playoffs, absolutely. We have the offense despite the age. Popov 34, Moss 33, Marco 34, Beniers 36. Our top 4 scorers all around 35 years of age. So let's try and push toward that 7th cup. But it was not to be, as we had another second round exit. After we swept through the Chicago Blackhawks, we fall in 7 to the Calgary Flames, who they themselves get swept by Winnipeg, who then almost get swept. They lose in 5 games to the Philadelphia Flyers. If we had just made it through Calgary, I think it could have been a Stanley Cup for us, but the Flyers win the cup. Tough loss there. Always seems to be in the second round. Either we lose in the second round or we go all the way. Miettinen, Marco, Beniers, Harima, all point a game or above. Very good offensive output from a lot of these guys. 6 goals from Voloshenko as well. Moss, Burrows, Emelin, 8 points. So people came through for us at least. It was nice to see that. Goaltending, Peyton Wilm went 7-4-0, had 2 shutouts. Tough numbers, but it's like either he got a shutout or he let in like 5. So not a super accurate representation to say that it was an 884 save percentage throughout the postseason. See those 2 shutouts right there. In the retirement class of 2039, we had no retirements, but our core continues to age. So something that we'll have to keep a close eye on. Hopefully they can maintain their overalls over this offseason, and we can try to continue to run it back as we have been exploding offensively as of late. Year number 19, and although the overalls are going down, I think the performances will be maintained. Burrows, Beniers, Marco, first line. Appel, Popov, Moss on the second. Voloshenko, Harima now down to an 84. And Miettinen now up to an 86 on the third. Durapos, Jones, Nazarov on the fourth. Defense, Domi, Kobasu, Kozlov, Card, Sylvester, Emelin. Remember Steve Card, the 12th overall pick in 2035. Hasn't really grown at all, but we'll give him some NHL time, and hopefully he does well or something. Goaltending, James Hickman at an 86 overall is now on top of Peyton Wilm, who's an 84 and serves as the backup. I'd want to play Wilm as the starter, but there's no way to do that unless I turned off auto goalie rotate and did every rotation of the goalies myself, which is not going to happen. So we're going to go by the overall. Peyton Wilm's contract does expire after this year. We'll sign him to a cheaper contract, hopefully, but he's transitioning into that backup role now at the age of 35. We're coming off back-to-back President's Trophies and back-to-back second-round exits. So like I said, although the overalls have dropped and the age is increasing, hopefully the skill, the IQ, the talent is all still there, and 2039-40 will be successful. Year number 19 was a third consecutive President's Trophy, as with 125 points, we went 58, 15, and 9. Once again, great scorers, headlined by Matty Beniers, proving that age is just a number, 37 years old, 104 points. Is that a career high for him, just following the footsteps of Vladimir Tarasenko? Yes, by 9 points. Learning that age is just a number, and he is doing what his old captain did. Isaiah Marco, 51 goals and 103 points from him. A new career high in goals as well. Once again, taking a page out of Vladimir Tarasenko's book. New career highs in goals and points. Hugo Appel, 63 goals. That must be I believe it's a franchise record. The 4th overall pick in 2037. It was a great trade that we made right there. Thankfully, with that goalie prospect, turned into a pick, turned into another trade. 3 seasons now, 233 points, 92 points, 63 goals in this 3rd season for him. Burrows, career high right there. Again, I'm going through so many career highs. Sylvain Burrows, 91 points this season. More assists than 12 more assists than he had ever had points. What a year from the 40th overall pick in 2027. Love to see these stories. Vitaly Popov, 89 points from him as well. He keeps going despite the age. Moss, 75. Domi, 57. He's been good. Durapos, Hirima, a bit of a down year from him. Goaltending now. Let's see how it went with this new tandem. Hickman, wow, 50, 12, and 7. 8 shutouts in his first year as a starter. 913 save percentage, 2.44 goals against. Peyton Wilm went 8-3-2 with 1 shutout, but 885 save percentage and 3.23 goals against average. Yikes. But thankfully, he will come at a much cheaper price tag from now on. We have our players playing better than they've ever done. Beniers, Marco, Appel, Burrows, even Popov, I'd say, all at the best they've ever been. If we were going to win another cup with this group, it would be now. But of course, it was not to be. As we drop in the first round in 7 games to the Winnipeg Jets, at least it was the team that went on to win the Stanley Cup, but brutal to drop in the first round after an offensive year like that. Oh my goodness. The points were there in the playoffs. Popov with 10, Mietnin with 7, Marco, Beniers, Moss, Velashenko all with 6 in 7. Was it the goaltending with Hickman here? He had a 905 save percentage, 3.17 against. Not horrible. James Hickman was not horrible, but brutal loss to the Jets. I guess it was just a team that was destined to win the Cup. At least we can sleep well knowing that. In the awards, we did win another Vezina-Jennings combo, but this time, not to Peyton Wilm. It was to James Hickman, the Croatian, winning the Vezina and the Jennings here in 2040. And although we had no big retirements in 2040, Bowen Byram did call it a career at the age of 39, 442 points in 1,287 games. Out of those 1,287 games, he played 615 with the Kraken, scoring 247 out of his 442 points. He was a mainstay on the blue line. Crazy plus minus, as he left with 4 rings, I believe, with the Kraken, scoring 50 points through 133 playoff games. So congrats to him on a wonderful career. A couple of retirements down there, as you can see, Rayala, who was with us for a bit, and of course Vince Sloan, who was with us for a bit, both retiring as well in 2040. But the big dogs are still here and ready to run it back for year number 20. Also forgot to mention that Aiden Giordano retired in 2040, as he was with the organization for 2 decades as both head coach and associate coach through those 20 years. So once again, thanking him for a great career with Seattle. Year number 20, moving into our 3rd decade with the Kraken. First line, Burrows, Beniers, and Marco. Burrows signed on for 3 more years at 13.65. Beniers 1 more year. Marco 1 more year. We'll keep doing them 1 year at a time. They have a +5 on the first line. Second line, Chris Moss, who has AHL top 6 potential, but as long as he has 5-star shooting, no problem with me. He's with Popov and Hugo Appel, who has signed long-term, 8 years at 10.65. Team-friendly deal, very much so, I do have to say. So this does keep the +5 on each line. Hugo should be on the first line, but I'd rather keep the chemistry for those top guys. Velashenko, Durapos, and Mietnin on the third. Nazarov, Jones, and Beauchemin. I forgot if I've mentioned him, but a 7th-round pick in 2036. The last pick of the 2036 draft. Here he is in the NHL, a Patrick Hornquist-esque story. On defense, we unfortunately had to say goodbye to Braden Kobasu, who wanted $6+ million. We could not afford him as a 79 overall. Braden Domi's playing with Steve Card. Didn't look great in his rookie season, but let's see how he does this year on the top top pair, getting a +3 for the chemistry. Kozlov with Sylvestre and Eves with Emelin on the third pair. Carl Eves, a third-round pick in 2035. Goaltending, Hickman remains at an 86, and Peyton Hollywood-Wilm at the age of 36 is now an 82 overall. He signed on for 2 more years at 3.65, so nice to get him discounted a little bit here. The lineup looks strong in terms of ability. The overalls are going down, the age is going up. Burrows and Appel will have to be the guys moving forward for us. As long as we have that core 4 of Beniers, Marco, Popov, and Moss, we always have a chance. It was another twisted year in Seattle, as year number 20 saw us win our 4th consecutive President's Trophy, and it was our winningest season since year number 10. Year number 20 saw us go 59, 18, and 5. The points this year just blew me away. Isaiah Marco at the age of 36, 86 overall, top 9 potential, lowest he's been pretty much since his rookie year. He just goes out and, scores 112 points. His last 2 years have been the best of his career statistically. Unbelievable stuff from Isaiah Marco. One of our pillars on this team with the franchise since 2023. Matty Beniers, speaking of records out of nowhere, scores 110 points. And also his last 2 years are also his 2 best statistical seasons of his career. 110 points, setting a new career high in assists and points. 41 goals from the captain. Sylvain Burrows, 86 points from him, our first-line playmaker. Not as much as last season, but we'll take it, 86 points. Hugo Appel, 50 goals. He doesn't get quite, not quite 63, but we'll take an 84-point season from the second liner at the moment. Popov, 79. He's still almost at point-per-game pace. Chris Moss has definitely slowed down. The guy's a 77 overall, yet he still scores 22 goals and 57 points. Miettinen, 40 goals and 54 points from him. Third line plus power play. After last year, no power play. He bounces back this year with 40 goals. My goodness, Nico Miettinen. Voloshenko, 51. Durpos, 45. Emelin, 39. Jones, Domi, plus 51. Beauchemin, Card, plus 63. Sylvestre, Kozlov, Eves, there they are. Goaltending, James Hickman goes 47, 12, and 4 with 7 shutouts, a .920 save percentage, and 2.28 goals against average. He's still at 86 overall, but I'm sure he'll grow. Peyton Wilm, another backup season, goes 12, 6, and 1. 2 shutouts, but an .889 save percentage and 3.08 goals against average. If we can just maintain solid goaltending and everyone can just continue to do what they've been doing, we can capture one more cup before we get into a heavier risk of retirement. So year number 20 postseason, let's do it. But of course, we get swept out of the second round. We barely beat the Oilers in 7, and then we went on to get swept by the eventual, at least, Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights, who beat the Bruins in 7. They beat us in 4, beat the Blues in 6, and went on to win the 2041 Stanley Cup. I don't know what it is. I guess it's the defense, but in this future reality, like an 82 overall defenseman makes $6-7 million. It's tough. Like, defensemen just do not grow from the draft, so it's very scarce. Nonetheless, Hugo, Appel, Marco, and Burrows were all point per game. Beniers had 9 assists, no goals. Popov 8, Sylvestre 5, Emelin, Voloshenko, Durpos 4. It was Miettinen only with 2 goals after he scored 40 on the year, which is a bit odd. Kozlov coming through as always. Concerning the awards, though, it was a good year for hardware as Isaiah Marco won the Hart Memorial Trophy. The first time that we've won this trophy since Nathan MacKinnon way back when. Great to see Marco finally getting some hardware. And then, of course, the Vezina and the Jennings both going to Hickman. Very well deserved, although he didn't do great in the playoffs. And also the Ted Lindsay going to Isaiah Marco. And with those awards, Marco shockingly goes out in 2041, retiring at the age of 36. Meanwhile, Jack Hughes goes to the age of 40, so I hate that the game does that sometimes. But Isaiah Marco, oh my goodness, take a moment for this. 1,381 games played, all with the Kraken. 634 goals, 802 assists for 1,436 points. Crazy attributes all the way to the end. 99 slap shot accuracy, 98 wrist shot accuracy. Our 4th overall selection back in 2023. He was still an 88 overall. He definitely could have come back for more after having the 2 best seasons of his career. In the playoffs, he was also a monster. In 262 games, he scored 110 goals and 135 assists for 245 points. He has his 6 Stanley Cup rings. I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Doesn't get much better than that. Had an A on his jersey through and through. His number will absolutely be retired here in Seattle. What a career for him. Almost 4,000 shots, 16.2 shooting percentage in his career. 32 power play points this last year, 334 in his career. Was always counted on for almost 20 minutes a night at least. He was a lethal sniper. I wish there was more I could say about Isaiah Marco. Wishing him all the best in his retirement. Thank you for your years here with the Kraken. I believe 18 seasons spent with the Kraken. Certainly some franchise records that we'll take a look at here. In the 2041 offseason, the Toronto Maple Leafs wanted to trade the second overall selection. We traded them our next three, including this year's first round pick, for their first round pick. So a first this year, a first next year, the first after that, in exchange for a first now. If the Maple Leafs anticipate us not being as good in the future, it's a good trade for them, especially if they want to trade away the pick. I don't see that as being a bad deal. Sylvain Desharnais from the Quebec Ramparts is the second rated prospect here according to Central Scouting. Similar to Patrick Kane, NHL ready. We need a center of the future with Popov and Beniers getting close to retirement, so this is the time to pull the trigger on it. Thankfully, a team wanted to trade a pick, and we didn't have to give too crazy of an amount of trade value to get it. Donc Sylvain, bienvenue à l'équipe, and he, out of the draft, is an 80 overall medium elite center playmaker, franchise player going to the Leafs, to the Lightning right there. He is a playmaker, he has good attributes, and he should grow well, so he'll be a cornerstone towards the end of the 25 years. Year number 21, newest member of the Kraken, Bernard Garon. He was a free agent acquisition, 5th overall pick from Dallas in 2032, 89 overall playmaker. He is consistently scoring lots of points and getting lots of apples along the way. Can be counted on for 50, 60 assists per year, so put him on that first line right now with Beniers and Appel, and he should do great things. Actually, I'll keep Appel on his offside. He'll play with Beniers now at the age of 38. And Appel on that right wing. Second line, Miettinen up here now. After all those 40-goal years, let's get him on the second line, playing with Popov and Burrows. Third line will be Volchenko, our newest prospect, Desharnais, and Durapos. Fourth line will be now 35-year-old, 73 overall Chris Moss. He has AHL bottom six potential, but still 4-star shooting, so I'll give him some power play time and see how he does. Nazarov and Beauchemin on that fourth line as well. Defense, Domi, Card, Eves, Emelin, Ling, and Silvestre. Goalies, Hickman now at 89 overall, backed up by now 78 overall, Peyton Wilm. So Kozlov also still on the team, but he doesn't make the lineup as a 76 overall. It's tough, but just not quite enough room for him. I want these younger guys to get the opportunities to grow. Eves, Sylvester, both with the medium elite potential. So there's our lineup for this 21st season. Garon should do great things. Appel, maybe 60-plus goals. Beniers and Popov, possibly their last run. Moss, for sure, as a 73 overall. So going for 5 consecutive President's Trophies would be great, but let's really try and capture that cup here in 2041-42. And of course, with Marco now retired and Kozlov as a healthy scratch, I think it's an obvious choice for the other two alternate captains. It's got to be Chris Moss, even down that fourth line, and Vitaly Popov, our 3 longest-serving players with the letters on their jerseys. Year number 22 was a bit of a scare, as at one point we were barely above 500. We were 19, 18, and 6, I believe. Made a change to the first and second lines, made a change to the power play lines. We end the season 46, 29, and 7. For the first time in a very long time, not on top of the Pacific Division, nor did we reach 50 wins for the first time in probably in like 15 years since that happened. But nonetheless, 8th place in the NHL with that record. Hugo Appel led the team in scoring with 50 goals and 80 points in 82 games. Matty Beniers at the age of 39 still has it. 78 points from him at 83 overall. Sylvain Burrows 72. Popov 71. He still got it as well. Now a 78 overall. My goodness. Miettinen 47 goals and 66 points. Garon in his first year 61. Durapos 54. Desharnais 48 in his rookie season. And down the scoring we go here. Chris Moss 17 goals and 26 points from him. Goaltending here, Hickman went 38, 24, and 6, 7 shutouts, a .917 save percentage, and 2.36 goals against average. Very happy to see that. And Peyton Wilm went 8, 6, and 1 with 2 shutouts, .919 save percentage, 2.50 goals against. His best season in 2 or 3 years now, so very happy to see that Peyton still got it. However, we once again lost to the Vegas Golden Knights in the postseason, this time in the first round, dropping in 6 games. Vegas went on to the Western Conference Final and lost in 7 to the Wild, who went on to win the Stanley Cup. In those 6 games, Miettinen and Volchenko went point per game. Appel with 5, Durapos, Garon, Beniers with 4, Desharnais 3 goals, and down the list we go here for the points. Goaltending, Hickman went 2-3-1, 884 save percentage, 3.17 goals against average. It doesn't make sense because here's Hickman, who has won 3 consecutive Vezina trophies, yet he can't get it done in the postseason. 3 Vezina trophies and a first, second, and first round exit to show for it. Another Jennings as well for Hickman. No other awards for us. And in the 2042 offseason, we get the big retirements here. Here we go. Matty Beniers at the age of 39. Mr. Seattle, our captain, after taking the baton from Tarasenko and Bear. 1,636 games played, all with the Kraken. Drafted in 2021 in the real world. Had to be a created player here, of course, because we started our series before he was put into the game. 714 goals, 966 assists, 1,680 points in 1,636 games. Goes out with some solid attributes still right there. His 2 most productive seasons being 2040 and 41 right there. Being added to that statue in front of Climate Pledge Arena. Number up in the rafters as well. In the playoffs, he has his 6 Stanley Cup rings, 259 points in 286 games. He was so consistent through and through, 80-90 points throughout his career, ending above a point per game, of course. A plus 436, a great two-way forward who is going to be missed very, very much on this franchise. And also retiring here, Chris Moss, who also spent his entire career here with the Kraken. Very proud of him. He was a 51st overall selection in 2024, another product of the Data 782 drafting. He goes out as a 70 overall, but he played in the NHL through and through. A sniper if there ever was one. 1,310 games, 526 goals, and 1,027 points, all with Seattle. His best season being in the 80s, usually could be counted on for 70s though, and was always 30 to 40 goals per season. A plus 310 as well in the postseason. Along with his 6 Stanley Cup rings, he scored 80 goals and 143 points in 223 games. Some other players retiring, if you're curious, Asher Maloney retires on the Montreal Canadiens. After he left us, he never did quite the same, 68, 81 points. After that, he went to San Jose, never got more than 50. Went to Philadelphia, went to Buffalo. His career wasn't the same after he left Seattle. So you know what? That's what greed will do to you sometimes, Asher. But he was a great player here, and we appreciate all that he did on the Kraken. David Jiricek also retired, the first player that we ever drafted as the general managers of this team. 4th overall in 2022. He had a good time here in Seattle, but he had to walk eventually as well, and he goes out with the Rangers. 100 points in 401 games. He went on to have a long career elsewhere, bouncing around a few teams in the NHL. And Braden Kobasu also retired. He was the 63rd overall selection in 2024, another product of the Data 782 drafting class. He spent almost his entire career with the Kraken, scoring 266 points in 902 games, and was a plus 406. Just an animal out there. He played a lot of top pair, although he was never higher than an 81 overall. Played a lot of time with Chychrun and Bear as a top pairing D-man, 24 plus minutes a night. More retirements here. Tiny Morrison retiring as a 73 overall. He had immediately potential at one point. We ended up trading him to the Minnesota Wild for Josh Petrovic, and he really worked out for us. Eli Manning retiring at a 67 overall. Wow, he was a big piece for us as a depth player for us. Had really clutch goals in the playoffs as well. And no goalie retirement there, so Peyton Hollywood-Williams still in the system. I don't think we can play him in next year because we have an 83 overall who's pushing for the NHL. It's not going to be easy. I'm going to see what I can do over the offseason here. We have more money to play with again, so the team's starting to look very different. Popov's still around. We'll see who else wants to stick around, and we'll try to continue to build on what we have. Year number 22 brings big changes as Vitaly Popov is down to a 77 overall. He wanted $6 million. We couldn't afford to keep him. Kozlov's down to a 71 overall. Peyton Wilm also walked to free agency because our goaltending situation. We can't afford to keep a 76, 77 overall as a backup. We have an 85 overall elite prospect who wants to get some time. We tried to keep him on in the system. He didn't want to stay. So we have no one remaining on the team who won that Stanley Cup with us back in 2030. Part of that back-to-back team. The team that won 5 cups in 7 years. No one left. There are some players who were in the system, though, such as Sylvain Burroughs. He's on the first line with our new franchise cornerstone, Sylvain Legault. He was the first overall pick from the Red Wings in 2033. Went to free agency. He's a wild playmaker. 99 puck skills across the board. 5-star shooting, 99 offensive awareness. It was a huge contract that I have to give to him, but we need someone without our first and second line centerman. We needed someone big, so he'll play with Hugo Appel on that first line. Miettinen, Dernay now at an 86, and Garon as the second liner. We must be Quebec's favorite team with all these Quebecois players. Voloshenko, Durpos, and Beauchemin, another one on the third line. Mackey, Stoner, and Nazarov on the fourth. Stoner, 8th, second-round pick in 2039. Defense, Domi, Eves, Sylvestre, Emelin, Ling, and Card. Goaltending, as we just saw, Hickman, 88, backed up by Grealinger, who is an 85 overall with medium elite potential. Now that we're done with the storylines of all those other players, we'll be going through these last few seasons a bit more quickly. So year number 22, let's see what happens. Also for the captains, we have our 4th captain in franchise history, from Tarasenko to Bear to Beniers to Burroughs. Sylvain Burroughs, our newest captain. His alternates will be Miettinen and Emelin. Another little bit of a scare in year number 22, as, you know, we still had a top 10 finish in the NHL, but it was comparatively one of our worst seasons in franchise history. We went 45, 33, and 4. Still a solid enough record, as I said, to finish 10th in the league. Kind of disappointing in the scoring department here, as Legault had 73 points to lead the team. Appel, 35 goals. I'd be expecting 50 plus from him. Garon, 58 points. Dernay, 58 points. Voloshenko, 55. Burroughs, 54. That's a shocker. Not a lot of good totals here from our skaters. Goaltending, Hickman, 33, 26, and 3. 4 shutouts, 904 save percentage, 2.85 against. Our backup, Grealinger, 85 overall, but he goes 12, 8, and 1. 3 shutouts, great, but an 890 save percentage and 3.26 goals against. High highs and low lows. And to no one's surprise, we fell in the first round this year in 5 games to the Oilers, who would go on to lose in the Western Conference Final to St. Louis, who lost in the Stanley Cup Final to the Lightning. Playoff points, we had multiple players who went point per game, or 4 and 5. Was it the goaltending again? Hickman, buddy? Come on! 1-4-0. This guy just can't do it in the playoffs. Come on, my friend. Career numbers 10, 18, and 1. 885 in the playoffs in his career. 3.5 goals against average. James Hickman, down to starter potential. The 31st overall pick in 2033. I don't know. Awards-wise, at least there was something, as Legault wins the Frank J. Selke. And in the 2043 offseason, Vitaly Popov calls it a career. He signed with Boston, played 1 year in the AHL, scoring 84 points. But in the NHL, he played all 1,325 games with the Seattle Kraken, 193 goals and 938 assists for 1,131 points. He was a plus 331. He got quite a few pounding minutes as well. 1,183, had 128 in 2038-39. He has his 7 Stanley Cup rings and 176 points in 245 playoff games. It was an absolute pleasure having him. The 86th overall pick in 2023. Dare I say the best player in NHL history to come from Estonia. Hirima also retiring. We had him for a few years, as you remember, a few years back. No other big retirements. Actually, no, Kozlov, of course. Alexander Kozlov, and Kalle Lundberg down there also retired. Kozlov, the 27th overall pick in 2025, spent a very long time in Seattle, 1,293 games played, scored 100 goals and 241 points as a defensive defenseman, was a plus 392, also 7 Stanley Cup rings, 42 points in 238 playoff games. He was consistent through and through. He never went above the 80 overall that he was drafted at. Very unfortunate, but he was also a Mr. Kraken type guy, spending well over a decade and a half with the team. So actually his entire career, if you count being in the Kraken system. So another very well-deserved retirement. Year number 23, we're going Garon, Legault, and Appel on that first line, the French connection. Second line, Miettinen, Dernay, and Burroughs, Sylvain Burroughs, so like 5 out of 6 of our top 6 Quebecois. Third line, Voloshenko, Durpos, and Beauchemin. Fourth line, Mackey, Stoner, Nazarov. Defensively, Domi, Card, Silvestre, Eves, Ling, Emelin. And goaltending, now Hickman and Grillinger are both 86 overall. Tried to trade Hickman, didn't work out. Now he's going to be sharing the crease with Grillinger. Whoever the better one is will get the postseason. We'll see at the end of this year. And let's hope for a strong season and maybe get back into the 50-win category. In year 23, after 22 consecutive playoff berths to begin the franchise, for the first time in franchise history, the Kraken missed the playoffs. Despite having a winning record, 41, 36, and 5, it was only good enough to finish 21st in the NHL and outside of a playoff spot. You can tell that President of Hockey Ops data is slowly letting go a little bit more. The points were there this year. Legault 80 points, Burrows 74, Appel 47 goals, Miettinen 43 goals, Desharnais 65 points. Was it the goaltending once again? Do I put it on Hickman again? Hickman had horrible numbers. Actually, both of these goalies. What in the world? Both of these guys 86 overall, and both of them have 891 save percentages, and both around 3 and a quarter goals against per game. Horrible. I don't know what's going to happen here. We only have 2 more years left in the franchise, so I don't know how much I really want to put into more goaltending. But if we get one more cup, come on, boys. Let's go. No playoff berth for us, but back-to-back Selke trophies for Sylvain Legault, so somewhat of a silver lining. Retiring in 2044, we have Pasi Lume, our 5th-round pick in 2026. Another player who did so well that he had to leave because he was just costing us too much. He had a good career after he left. 84 points with Tampa, 74 with Chicago. He had some solid seasons. 904 points in 1,394 games in his career. 195 points in 410 games with us. Went on to do great things in the rest of his career, so congrats to Pasi Lume. Goaltending, is this the big year? Yes, it is. Peyton Hollywood Wilm on film, calls it a career. 943 games played, 618 wins, 234 losses, 63 overtime losses, 68 shutouts, a 910 save percentage, and 2.55 goals against average. Fantastic career numbers. Goes out with the Boston Bruins franchise. Did he play in the NHL with them at all? He did not. So his entire NHL career was spent with the Kraken. All those numbers with Seattle. 7 Stanley Cup rings, a 132, 61, and 13 playoff record. 14 playoff shutouts, a 912 save percentage, and 2.60 goals against average. Over 23,000 shots against, over 54,000 minutes in the crease. A great career, 18 assists as well. Peyton Wilm at the age of 40. He was our 19th overall pick in 2022. Another franchise legend. We will miss him. We definitely feel his absence on this team, absolutely. But Peyton Wilm, it was an honor having him. Glad we didn't trade you away. We got you all of your rings. You set all of your records. Unfortunately, the goalie records are a bit glitched in the record book, so I can't go and see them. But, of course, there are definitely some changes that would have happened in this reality. But with 618 wins as of 2022, that would put him second all-time, ahead of Patrick Waugh and behind Martin Brodeur for the most wins all-time. And his 68 shutouts would also put him 15th all-time in the NHL, but he definitely had a lot of wins to show for a very fruitful career. Wishing him all the best in his retirement. Year number 24 in Seattle, Garon, Legault, Appel, first line, Burrows, Desharnais, Miettinen second, Voloshenko, Durpos, Beauchemin third, Chung, Stoner, and Mackey the fourth. Chung, second round pick in 2039. Defense, Domi, Eves, Silvestre, Card, Ling, and 74 overall, Artem Emelin. Drafted in the 6th round back in 2028. He is still out here. It's so hard to find defense, and he's getting paid a lot, so why not just stick with it? Goaltending completely overhauled this offseason. Ian Faith, 3rd round pick in 2039, is our new starter, backed up by Vince Moen, 5th round pick in 2038. Both of our other goalies were costing too much and not giving us the right performances, so dedicate that money to Desharnais, who needed a new contract, and let's see if this will get us back to the playoffs. Year number 24 is the 4th consecutive season of consistently getting worse. We finished 21st in NHL once again, but this year only put up 39 wins, going 39, 35, and 8. The scoring was there from the big dogs. Legault, 85 points, 80 assists. Appel, 50 goals, but Miettinen did well. Desharnais did all right. Garon, yeah. It keeps going down for that. Burrows, he has to be better. I know he's getting older now. Durapos, Velashenko, Domi, and down the list we go there. Yeah. Goaltending, let's see it this year. Faith, I had faith in him. He went 36, 33, and 5. 2 shutouts. Tough numbers. Moen did well as a backup. Really good numbers from him. I don't know what to tell you. And by the way, we can make it 3 consecutive Selke trophies for Sylvain Legault. And retiring in 2045 is Rickard Bergenheim, another player that we would have liked to keep but wanted too much money. He was the 22nd overall pick in 2026, goes out with 939 points in his career. In 7 full 82-game seasons, 574 games played, he scored 340 points. I had some good seasons after leaving Seattle, but never quite the same output as he had with us. Other retirements from some other former Kraken. We have Beach, who retired 612 points in 984 games. Caleb Rollison, 424 points in 1,300 games. Great to see some longevity from some of our drafted players. And too bad it's too little too late, but in the draft lottery, we jumped from 12 to 2 with a little bit of luck right there. So we may not end on the highest note, but, you know, even if it goes 3 years missing the playoffs, at least we know that years 26, 27, 28 will be more positive. But it's not over yet. Year 25, let's get ready. And with that second overall pick, number 1 was an 84 overall franchise sniper. Not a bad selection at number 2. Our scouts had this guy maybe at number 1. Kari Houtinen, 6'4", power forward, center / left wing from Finland. He's a gem as well, medium elite. 30 goals, 52 points in 60 games in an A-plus competition. Very excited to have this guy on the team, even if it's only going to be for 1 season. Second overall, we take him. 84 overall, medium elite out of the draft at 18 years of age. My goodness. That's going to be a huge boost for us as we go for one last run. Time for our 25th and final season here in Seattle. Appel, Legault, and Houtinen. I'm going to try him on the top line as a scorer. With Legault being such a playmaker, let's try 2 scorers on his wing. Second line will be Garon, Dernay, and Miettinen. Third line will now be Burrows, who's down to an 83 overall. Play him with Durapos and Velashenko, maybe a little less over his head. Fourth line, Beauchemin, Stoner, and Mackey. Defense, Domi, Eves, Luutinen from free agency. Petri Luutinen got him signed on. Top 4D, elite, low elite potential. Defensive defenseman with Sylvestre, Ling, and Card on the third pair. Goalies, Vince Moen, now 85 overall, which means he's the starter. And Ian Faith will serve as the backup. This team has shown flashes of brilliance the last few years, so let's hope that it all comes together for one last push in this 25th season. Year number 25 saw us back in the postseason once again. Very difficult and very tight in the Western Conference as we were just a point away from missing. The Flames in 11th did not make it, but 94 points were enough. 45, 33, and 4 was our record. I'm liking the point totals here. Sylvain Legault scores 88 assists and 96 points through 82 games. Hugo Appel, 46 goals. Houtinen in his rookie season, 40 goals and 65 points. Dernay, 65. Burrows, 62. Miettinen, 32 goals, 57 points. Down the list we go here as always, if you're curious on any of these totals. I had to make some defensive changes due to the salary cap because halfway through the year I traded away Moen and picked up Camden Thompson, who with us, he had great numbers with Carolina. With us, yikes, 6-6-1, 892 save percentage, 3.21 goals against. My goodness, you can't get any luck here with the goalies. Faith seems to be the better choice moving into the postseason. I'll keep note of that. I'm going to go slowly through the postseason. But it was not to be as we lost in 7 games in round number 1 to the LA Kings. We had a shutout win. We had a game 7 shutout loss, 1-0 in overtime. Brutal, brutal way to go out. The Kings went on to lose to the Wild, who went on to win the Stanley Cup once again. Appel and Legault were both point per game. Dernay with 6, Durapos, Houtinen, all these guys with their points down here if you're curious to see those tough plus minuses, of course. Goaltending, Faith was the starter. He went 3-1-3, 1 shutout, 924 save percentage, 2.2 goals against average. This guy Thompson, we picked him up and he was just horrible. In the awards, it was a 4th consecutive Frank J. Selke trophy for Sylvain Legault, as well as a Calder Memorial trophy for Houtinen. And thus brings us to the end of our franchise mode with the Seattle Kraken, my friends. With our 25 years now complete, we can go ahead and see some of our franchise records. Of course, I'm sure Matty Beniers, Tarasenko, McKinnon, those are the guys who are up there in top 3 of all these numbers, but we only get to see number 1. All-time games played, Matty Beniers, 1,636. Most points, 1,680. Most seasons played, 20 years for Matty Beniers. He had 714 goals and 966 assists. All the points records going to him. Vitaly Popov, most penalty minutes at 1,183. Peyton Wilm, most wins all time at 531. But it's glitched because it's actually in the 600. That's true, so that's a glitch. And shutouts at 66. I forget if that's glitched or not, but still holding the franchise record nonetheless, whether the numbers are right or not. Season records, most games played, many players played 82. Most shutouts in a season, Peyton Wilm had 8. Penalty minutes, Popov had 128. Goals, Hugo Appel had 63 in 2040. Most points in a season, Nathan McKinnon, 127 back in 2026. Most assists, Legault with 88. And most wins in a year, Peyton Wilm had 50, I believe, in a season. So unfortunately, that is also glitched. Rookie records, Asher Maloney, most assists at 43. Most goals goes to Appel with 42. Most points to Marco with 78. Most wins in a rookie season, Ian Faith, 31 a couple of years ago. Not this year, but last year. And most shutouts in a rookie season, Peyton Wilm with 5. Single game records, saves, Peyton Wilm, 47. Assists, Jake Chychrun with 6. Points, Matty Beniers with 8. And goals, Landon Camilleri with 5. And finally, we have the NHL records. If you're curious to see these by the year 2046, all the goalie stats are glitched, but the forward stats are accurate. So take a second to look at those if you are curious. Alexis Lafreniere had quite the career, it seems like, as did Boris Svitov, that generated player. Season records as well, still just Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux holding most of these. And although we're not able to see their retirements, I'm sure the future is very bright for Seattle, as there are a lot of young players. Hugo Appel, 421 goals and 673 points already through 738 games with the Kraken. Houghton had a great rookie season right there. Sylvain Desharnais, he's been looking good, 298 points in 410 games. Sylvain Burrows, 36 years of age, our current captain, 1,148 games all with the Kraken, 795 points. He was probably the last remaining person who was in the organization once the 15-year simulation began. Nico Mietinen also spent his whole career with Seattle, 984 games, 362 goals, 594 points. Salman Durapos his whole career with the Kraken, 902 games, 547 points. There's a few players who have been here for a while, but one last shout out to Braden Domi, who spent 1 year with the Ducks, I believe. But aside from that, 386 points in 902 games with the Kraken. Wasn't always super offensive. He had a few explosive type seasons, but he was our big boy in the blue line, despite only being 82 overall after we lost Chychrun, Byram, Kobasu, all those other guys. Now when it comes to our franchise stats as general manager and then president of hockey operations of the Seattle Kraken. Starting with the captains that we have had throughout our 25 years with the Kraken. Of course, our first captain in franchise history being Vladimir Tarasenko from 2021 to 2032. The entirety of his time with the Kraken, he wore the C on his chest, a leader through and through. It was a great time having him. Probably the moment that we're most proud of from the expansion draft. After Tarasenko, we had 1 year of a captaincy to Ethan Bear, 2032 to 2033. He'd already been on the team for about a decade by then, so a very well-deserved captaincy. And then, of course, Matty Beniers, our captain from 2033 to 2042. He was drafted in 2021 in the real world, so very well-deserved captaincy by 2033. And we finished off with Sylvain Burrows from 2042 to 2046 plus, a player that we had drafted towards the end of our time as a general manager in the 2028, 29, something around there, and he was our captain to the end. Moving into our awards now, starting with the Conn Smythes, Nathan McKinnon won 4 out of the 6 Conn Smythes when we won our 6 Stanley Cups. Bookends from Tarasenko and Marco. 2025 is Tarasenko, but 26, 27, 30, and 31 were all Nathan McKinnon. Isaiah Marco would go on to win it in 2036. Other awards now, starting with the ones that were a bit more rare. The Jack Adams, Aidan Giordano, our first head coach, won the Jack Adams in 2022 and 2023. We weren't expected to do much, but we had solid seasons with him as our head coach. Our first 2 years were 49, 28, and 5, and 45, 28, and 9. Not bad at all for expansion teams, so he got back-to-back Jack Adams. Calder Trophy, Isaiah Marco won it in 2025. Later on, as president of Hockey Ops, we had Hugo Appel and Hotinen, whatever his name you want to pronounce it, 2038 and 2046. We won that award 3 times. Lady Bing, we also won it 3 times, twice Nathan MacKinnon in 26 and 28. Isaiah Marco won it towards the end of his career in 2041. Frank J. Selke, Sylvain Legault, the player we had right at the end of our series. He won it 4 consecutive times from 2043 to 2046. He was just a playmaker extraordinaire. But getting to the big awards now, starting with the Jennings. We had our goaltenders really get a lot of hardware in this series. Peyton Wilm and Philip Gustafson shared it in 2026, but then Wilm won it on his own in 2031, 32, 34, 35, 36, shared it with Hickman in 38, and then Hickman won it on his own in 2040, 41, and 42. The Croatian goalie who took the baton and carried on the torch from Peyton Wilm, although it didn't really work out towards the end. Vezina trophies, Peyton Wilm, almost 10 years apart his victories, from 2029, 31, 34, 36, and 38. So 5 Vezinas and 7 Jennings for Peyton Wilm in the end. Wilm on film, Peyton Hollywood Wilm, what a career for him. Hickman winning 3 Vezinas from 2040 to 2042. Art Ross trophies, Nathan MacKinnon won 2 of those. We had a lot of really good high-scoring performances, but only Nathan MacKinnon won the Art Ross, and he did it twice in 2026 and 2028. Ted Lindsay, MacKinnon won 4 of those, 25, 26, 28, and 31. Isaiah Marco won in 2041. As we mentioned, he was just getting better as he aged. And the Hart Trophy, we won that 4 times during our time with the Kraken. 3 to Nathan MacKinnon, 2025, 26, and 28. 3 times in 4 years, and then Isaiah Marco in 2041. Now getting to our final records now from 2021 to 2046. In our 10 years as general manager of the team, our record was 509, 248, and 63. We went 10 for 10 for playoff appearances. We won 3 President's Trophies over those 10 years and had 5 Stanley Cup championships. Now for our record as president of hockey operations from year number 11 to 25, we went 769, 372, and 89. We were 13 for 15 on playoff appearances. We won 8 President's Trophies in 15 years, but only 1 more Stanley Cup. I think that can mostly be attributed to that we had, calendar simulation versus slow single game simulation in the playoffs, as well as not making changes when things weren't going right. It wasn't as much of a hands-on approach. I would do the contract, set up the lineup, but then let the simulation go from there. In total, our record through the 25 years with the Kraken was 1,278 wins, 620 losses, and 152 overtime or shootout losses. In both our time as GM and president of Hockey Ops, it's funny, our average record was 51, 25, and 6. So very interesting to see that was consistent no matter whether it was GM or president of Hockey Ops. So in total, 23 for 25 when it came to playoff appearances through our 25 years, 11 President's Trophies, and 6 Stanley Cups. Bonus most wins in a season was 66 in 2030-31, and most consecutive President's Trophies were 5. We won 5 in a row from 2029 to 2034. So ladies and gentlemen, thus concludes 25 years with the Seattle Kraken. Thank you so much for all of you who had a role, whether you were a hands-on assistant GM, you were just selling some concessions at Climate Pledge Arena, you were commenting, you were watching, you were liking. All of your support, whether it be more in the background or the foreground, was very much appreciated, and we could not have done it without you. Anyone can play franchise mode, but when we all come together and put our minds into one team, some spectacular things happen, and that's what we saw in this series. We saw some great storylines, fantastic, record-breaking performances, really fun storylines, as I mentioned, and that's what makes this series what it is. So if you enjoyed the series, please do leave a like. This video as well takes a ton of work. It was over 3 hours of content to break down, over 2 days of filming into this one video. So do consider giving a like. Leave your thoughts on what was your favorite favorite part of the series. Also, do consider subscribing because you'll be made aware of all the uploads, including our next NHL 22 series, which will either be with the Flyers, the Bruins, or the Penguins. The vote is currently live. If you want to vote on what series we'll do next, make sure to check out the pinned comment that I will leave on this video. Also, take a couple minutes to just check out the rest of the channel as we do other series, FIFA 22 Career Mode, NHL 07 Dynasty Mode, and lots of other podcast analytic breakdown type videos, especially during this 2022 NHL postseason. I'll go ahead and end it off there. Thank you once again for your involvement in this series, no matter what your level of involvement was. I hope that you enjoyed this recap and enjoyed the ride. 10 years of GM, 15 of President of Hockey Ops. We're ready to take our talents to another team and tackle another challenge. So thank you so very much for taking the time to watch, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing you again in the next one.